person walks out to their mailbox on a typical Tuesday morning. They sort through a stack of mail, separating grocery flyers and junk mail. They notice a plain white envelope among the mail. Curious, they open the envelope and begin to read its contents. Their face falls as they realize it. It's a hospital bill for $3,400 from a visit 8 months ago. A flashback shows them on the phone with an insurance representative, looking stressed. The representative assures them that the bill was handled and covered by insurance. Back in the present, the person stares at the bill in disbelief. They notice a small, aggressive font at the bottom. This account has been referred to a secondary collection agency. The person sits at their kitchen table, head in hands, feeling overwhelmed. 2 weeks later, the person checks their credit score on a laptop. You see their credit score has dropped from 745 to 665. The person looks shocked and frustrated. Realizing the impact on their financial reputation, montage shows the person imagining being judged by banks and lenders. They recall not making extravagant purchases, just dealing with illness or a child's injury. A split screen shows other people across America receiving similar medical bills. Parent comforts their child with a cast while glancing anxiously at a bill. Young adult sits in a cramped apartment surrounded by unpaid medical bills. A retiree looks at their credit score on a tablet, visibly upset. Nick appears on screen, introducing himself to the audience. Nick explains his interest in the American credit system and its predatory nature. Nick encourages viewers to subscribe and like the video for support. Nick announces a major shift in the law regarding medical debt and credit scores. Nick explains the traditional view that all debt is equal and affects credit scores. Nick challenges the assumption that unpaid bills should always lower credit scores. Nick asks viewers to consider the purpose of credit scores, predicting risk for lenders. A visual shows a lender contemplating whether to approve a $500,000 mortgage. Nick points out that medical debt doesn't predict someone's ability to repay a mortgage. A comparison shows someone with credit card debt from shopping versus someone with medical debt from surgery. Nick emphasizes that medical debt only indicates a medical event, not financial irresponsibility. Graphic illustrates the difference between types of debt and their implications. Nick presents shocking statistics from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB. A chart displays $88 billion in medical debt on Americans' credit reports. Nick reveals that 1 in 5 Americans has a medical bill in collections. A visual shows a diverse group of people, each with a medical bill in collections. Nick shares findings from the Journal of the American Medical Association, JAMA. A pie chart shows nearly 50% of medical collections are for amounts under $500. Nick expresses outrage that people's ability to buy homes is affected by small medical bills. A graphic compares the cost of a mid-tier television to the average medical collection amount. Nick explains that medical debt is less predictive of future payment than other types of debt. The visual shows to people with similar credit scores. One with medical debt, one with credit card debt. Nick highlights that people with medical debt are more likely to pay back other loans. A broken metric is depicted, symbolizing the flawed system judging people's creditworthiness. Nick summarizes the systemic problem and the need for change. A montage of frustrated Americans dealing with medical debt and credit score issues. Nick reassures viewers that they are not alone in experiencing this problem. Hopeful visuals suggest that government attention may lead to positive change. Nick prepares to discuss the upcoming legislative shift in future scenes. The scene ends with Nick inviting viewers to stay tuned for more information. The person from the beginning looks hopeful as they watch Nick's video. A final visual shows a community of people united in their struggle against medical debt. A headline flashes, "Medical debt is now illegal on credit reports." Nick stands in front of a group, clarifying that the debt itself isn't illegal, but its use against credit scores is changing. Visual timeline appears labeled The Big Shift. Step 1. The 3 credit bureaus Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion are shown discussing medical debt data. The bureaus agree to stop reporting paid medical debt. The bureaus also agree to stop reporting medical debt under $500. People celebrate the change, but some look dissatisfied, feeling it doesn't go far enough. Step 2. The CFPB announces a major ruling in June 2024. The Biden-Harris administration is shown backing the CFPB's new rule. The rule prohibits lenders from using medical bills for underwriting decisions. Credit reporting agencies are banned from including medical debts on reports. A person imagines their medical debt becoming invisible to their credit score. A courtroom scene hints at legal challenges from debt collectors. Nick stands with a calculator, ready to explain the financial impact. A thought bubble appears. Does it really matter if my score is a 660 instead of a 740? A house labeled $400,000 appears. Scenario A. A person with a 740 credit score is approved for a 6.5% interest rate. Monthly payment of $2,528 is displayed. Scenario B. A person with a 660 credit score is shown, affected by a $1,200 medical collection. They qualify for a 7.6% interest rate. A monthly payment of $2,824 is displayed. A calculator shows a $296 monthly difference. A timeline stretches over 30 years, showing the extra cost adding up. A total of $106,560 in extra interest is revealed. Nick looks frustrated, gesturing at the numbers. A graphic shows the sickness tax being extracted from a person. A bank is shown collecting money from people with medical debt. Nick explains the system is designed to extract wealth from those who can least afford it. A person looks overwhelmed by a pile of confusing medical bills. A definition of the ostrich effect appears. A person buries their head in the sand, ignoring the bills. An EOB explanation of benefits arrives in the mail, labeled "This is not a bill." A confusing bill arrives next, with a different amount. A final notice arrives, with yet another amount. The person looks frustrated and gives up trying to understand. Collection agency buys the debt for pennies on the dollar. The collection agency reports the debt to the credit bureau. The person receives a notice that their credit score has dropped. The government removes medical debt from credit reports. A visual shows the fear factor being lifted from consumers. The power dynamic shifts, with consumers standing taller and debt collectors shrinking. Nick anticipates objections from the audience. Thought bubble. Won't this make doctors stop seeing people? A doctor and hospital staff discuss ways to collect payment. A judge signs a wage garnishment order. A collection agency continues to pursue payment. A mechanic hands a customer an estimate. A restaurant customer reads a menu with prices. A patient signs a consent to treat form in the ER, looking confused. The form's fine print says, "I agree to pay whatever you decide to charge me after I'm unconscious." Nick explains the new laws aren't about letting people skip bills. A family celebrates being able to buy a car or rent an apartment without medical debt holding them back. A billing department looks disorganized, papers flying everywhere. The story ends with Nick reassuring viewers that the new rules protect consumers from unfair credit damage. Sarah sits at her kitchen table, reviewing her paperwork and feeling confident about her recent surgery. Sarah double-checks her hospital and surgeon, confirming both are in network. Sarah prepares for her planned surgery, feeling reassured by her research. Sarah undergoes her surgery at the in-network hospital. Sarah recovers peacefully, believing everything is handled. 2 months later, Sarah opens her mail and finds a $2,500 bill from the anesthesiologist. Reads the bill in confusion and frustration. Sarah tries to understand why she received a bill from someone she never chose or spoke to. Sarah learns that the anesthesiologist was a contractor and out of network. Sarah feels overwhelmed, realizing she might be responsible for the bill. A flashback shows that, before 2022, Sarah would have been forced to pay or face credit damage. Sarah contemplates paying the bill to avoid credit issues. Sarah discovers information about the No Surprises Act. Sarah learns that under the new law, she cannot be balance billed for out-of-network providers at in-network facilities. Sarah realizes the bill is now illegal. Sarah decides to challenge the bill using the No Surprises Act language. Sarah contacts the billing department to dispute the charge. Sarah waits anxiously for a response. Sarah receives notification that her bill has been reduced to her in-network copay of $150. Sarah feels relieved and empowered. Nick appears, ready to explain the bigger picture. Nick introduces the concept of medical debt and its impact on credit. Nick uses a car dashboard analogy to explain credit scores. A dashboard shows a green light for a high credit score. The dashboard flashes a red check engine light for a low score. Lenders examine the dashboard to judge financial reliability. Nick explains that medical debt acts like a faulty sensor on the dashboard. The dashboard flashes red due to a minor issue, not a real engine problem. A lender refuses a loan because of the faulty sensor, despite a healthy financial engine. Nick explains that new CFPB rules will remove the faulty sensor from credit reports. Mechanic removes the faulty sensor, restoring the dashboard to normal. Nick emphasizes that the rules will help good borrowers get fair treatment. Nick shifts to actionable steps viewers can take. Nick presents a checklist for handling medical debt. Step 1. Check for small debts under $500 on your credit report. A viewer visits annualcreditreport.com and reviews their credit report. The viewer finds a small medical collection and prepares to dispute it. Step 2. Scrub paid medical debt from your report. The viewer notices a paid collection still listed and disputes it. Step 3. Demand an itemized bill with CPT codes from the hospital. A viewer calls the billing department and requests the itemized bill. The hospital's billing software automatically reviews and reduces the bill. Step 4. Check the hospital's financial assistance policy. A viewer asks for the financial assistance application at a nonprofit hospital. The hospital reduces or forgives the bill based on income. Step 5. Monitor the CFPB final rule for a total ban on medical debt reporting. A viewer with large debts feels reassured as the rules shift in their favor. Nick reveals that big banks actually support the new rules. Nick explains that banks see medical debt as garbage data, hurting their business. Debt collectors are shown protesting the new laws. Nick expresses no sympathy for debt collectors losing their leverage. Nick discusses the psychological impact of credit scores. A person feels shame as their credit score drops due to medical debt. Nick reframes the credit score as just a tool, not a measure of self-worth. A person feels empowered, focusing on their health and family instead of their score. Nick concludes by urging viewers to take action and dispute unfair medical debt. A viewer sets aside 30 minutes to review and dispute their credit report. Nick encourages viewers to share the information with others. A viewer shares the video with a friend struggling with medical bills. Nick invites viewers to watch the next video for more tips. Nick thanks the audience and signs off, promising more helpful content.